Hi guys, it's Kelly Latevola and I am here with another video for Neat and Tangled, and today I'm going to be using the Better Together set, which is a little bit older, but also the brand new Topography set. So I thought it would be really cool. I'm from Ohio, and I just thought that it would be like such an awesome idea to do like an outline of your state, maybe if you have a friend who'd moved away. But anyway, so I just Googled large outline of Ohio on the internet, and then I found this one. I put it in my I pasted it into a Windows file, and then I sized it and I printed it out. I wanted the outline to be thicker so you could see me there, just going over it with a thick black pen. The one I used was like a 0.65, so it was pretty thick, but I knew that I was going to stamp the topography stamp over top of it in black, and I needed to be able to see it. So I'm using the original Misty, so this is the large size, because the stamp, the topography stamp, actually will fill an entire card front, which is super cool. So I inked this up for ever and ever and ever, and I cut that out so you wouldn't have to watch it because it's just boring. And then I went ahead and stamped it down. And when I stamped it down, I stamped it. I stamped it. I CPR'd it. I carelessly PR'd that thing. Some larger backgrounds can be a little bit hard to get full coverage. You just want to make sure you're applying really good pressure to all of the areas. So now I'm going to fussy cut it out. Not everybody likes fussy cutting. I don't mind it because I started crafting back in the days when dyes were not popular. So I've had to fussy cut everything, so it doesn't really bother me. But some tips on fussy cutting: if you're going to do it, make sure that you're keeping your cutting hand, your scissors straight, and you are moving your other hand. So I'm right-handed, I keep that hand straight, and I move my left hand. This will give you a smoother edge. Another thing that will help smooth out those edges is, here I cut like a little bit into the line and it wasn't even, so I just fixed that right up, no problem. But I'm going to go in with a Memento Tuxedo black marker, and I always do it from the back in case my pen slips, and yes, that has happened to me. But I'm just going to outline all of the edges with that black marker, and it just gives it a much cleaner look, especially if you have some little fussy areas like I do in the state of Ohio. And it'll just clean those up and smooth them out. So here I'm using my grid paper to line up my stamps. I have grid blocks, grid paper. I just make sure that they're straight, and I use the lines on the grid to match the lines on there, on the paper, and everything matches up awesome. So I'm stamping this little heart in Intense Black ink by Simon Says Stamp because it's Copic safe. I'm going to cut this little heart out, so I'm not being too careful about my coloring. You don't have to do any shading. I don't know, it's like ingrained in me now. If I do Copics, I got to have at least 3 colors. So I did just that little bit of shading on the heart, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the heart that I did with the state of Ohio. I'm going to fussy cut it out. I'm going to go around the edges. And now I'm going to move on to the rest of the sentiment. So that is really where that Better Together set comes in, with the little heart and the sentiment. I just thought this would be totally adorable if you have friends from out of state, which as crafters, almost every single one of us do. Unfortunately, we can't all just live in a commune where we can walk next door and, borrow each other's stamps. Wouldn't that be grand? So I am stamping my sentiments with Versamark ink, but first I prepped my area with a embossing buddy, and that's going to get rid of any static so that I don't have embossing powder sticking where I don't want it to. And then I'm just going to go ahead and heat set it. I let my gun run the whole time that I'm doing the stamping so that it's nice and hot and it heat embosses just super quick. And I have 2 little tips for you on embossing. If you get some areas that are not completely solid white, you can go in with a white gel pen and fix it. Just make sure you give it time to dry on top of that embossing, but it will fill in those areas. And on the reverse side, if you get white embossing powder where you don't want it, you can go, if it's on black. Okay, let me just tell you that. If it's on black, you can go in with a writing pen and color right over top of them. It'll color the embossing powder and nobody will know. Another thing, another little tip for cutting out these blocks, sometimes because they are so thin, you can't get them to stay straight in there. And I have this happen to me a lot because I like these little labels. And so what I like to do in order to fix the problem is I put just a little bit of Tombow Mono multi-glue on the back. I tap it with my fingers until it's just tacky. And then that will hold it in place in my paper trimmer exactly where I want it to be. And as long as I hold the plastic piece down with firm pressure to make sure that it doesn't move around as I'm sliding the blade, it cuts perfectly, and I have no issues with having to chase around that little piece of paper. Then, oh, we're going to pop it up on foam tape because how cute is that, right? So I have my little labels. I'm going to add the little heart underneath the U to just kind of fill in that gap on the black part. And plus, I love black and white with a pop color. I don't know about you, but I totally love it. I think it's completely adorable. So I'm going to adhere the State of Ohio flat to a white card base using that same Tombow Mono Multi Glue. And then I'm going to pop up the sentiment on top of it. And this is just, it'd be fun to be a little bit of dimension. I love that look of, black and white with the red. And then because this is such a simple card, I wanted to give it something to just a little bit of pop. So I used some clear Wink Stella on the heart, and then I topped it off with some glossy accents. So that little piece is really eye-catching. And just, it's totally cute. It's a really simple card. It was really easy to put together. You could do this for any state. I mean, Rhode Island or Massachusetts might be a little bit hard. But you got this. I got faith in you. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.